Welcome back to Steps Gaming, and we're here today because I wanted to revisit the year of 2022, and revisit a couple Arcade1Up cabinets that I purchased. They're right behind me. I got the Marvel Capcom 2 and the Yoga Flame. And today, we're going to talk about the number one Arcade1Up cabinet I purchased this year, and in my opinion, the best cabinet that Arcade1Up put out this year. I could give this cabinet a 9 out of 10, and I'd feel fine doing so. It's a good cabinet. There's a couple flaws. We'll talk about those again real quick. But here's the reason why for me it's the best cabinet. One is, we all know that when I buy cabinets, I pretty much buy fighting cabinets. I prefer Capcom, but I will say that I probably would have bought Killer Instinct if it had spectate mode. I would have. And even at $255, I don't have room for it, so I didn't buy it. But me being a Capcom nut, I almost am willing to pay, most of what they're asking, as long as it's not something crazy. And I got a deal on the Yoga Flame. It was cheaper for me to buy the Yoga Flame than it was the Shinko Hadoken. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten the Shinko Hadoken. Because I figured I'd have this cabinet for a while and then I'd sell it. And because I have a Big Blue and I have a Bobby Voo deck, right? Well, the truth of the matter is the PCB in this cabinet, the games on it run just so much better that I do not want to get rid of that PCB. So I'm really enjoying the cabinet. Plus you get 14 games! 14 games! And they're not lousy games. They're all very good games. Alright? So let me go through the list real quick again for you. Okay, so here we go. The marquee title, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, is in the game, right? Oh, Champions Edition in the game. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the cabinet. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo on the cabinet. I ran a tournament in Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo last month. It was a great fun time. We got Pro Gear. This is a really great shooter. I love this game. We got Giga Wing, another great shooter. We got Battle Circuit, a fun beat 'em up. Captain Commando, classic arcade beat 'em up style game. Armored Warriors, a fun beat 'em up. Strider, classic. Final Fight. This is not only a classic, but a top tier beat 'em up game. King of Dragons, this is a fantastic beat 'em up. I love this game. It's one of my favorites on the cabinet for sure. Saturday Night Slam Masters, a fun wrestling style fighting game. Capcom Sports Club, a fun sports game. So we got 14 titles on this cabinet, right? And it's for Arcade1Up. That's a lot of titles. Not only that, but they're all great games, and they all get online if you want to play with people without a problem. Now, I'm not gonna find somebody online with Pro Gear unless I hunt them out. But if I go over right now, maybe Champions Edition, we'll see who's online. We got, let's see what we got right now. We got 1, 2, 3 games going and one open. I'll play a quick game, right? We're gonna join, I'm gonna fight this fighting nurse, I guess, RN. Maybe that's not what it is, but they are a purple rank, so should be interesting. Alright, there we go. Come on. Now, the other thing I should probably say is I did upgrade the sticks and buttons on this. I have a Eurostick Ultimate, and I have IL buttons. And I probably should stop talking so I could actually focus, right? I wasn't doing half bad until I did that. But I will say the sticks that came on this cab are good. They're decent sticks. You can play with them. But I don't have a problem with them. The buttons, they suck ass. But you say, well, everybody exchanges the buttons anyway. Well, that's true, but maybe you should have the option to not have to. And I just got killed there. And they're not even killing me. They're like, nah, you're gonna have to die without me sacrificing you. There we go, dead. Yes! I finally won one. Heck yeah. So, it's been a little bit since I played the cabinet, only because I had COVID, then I had the flu, then I saw all those IRM games that are coming out for the iArcade, so I started doing some videos on those, and I needed to get back over to 1UP, and I wanted to go over these cabinets, like I said, and Yoga Flame was definitely my best purchase. I did not expect that to be. I thought Marvel Capcom 2 would have been the 1UP of the year for me. Okay? And I will do another video on Marvel Capcom 2. You could probably speculate as why I'm saying Yoga Flame to me is the cabinet to get. It's a good buy. It's a good cabinet. You can find, you know, some good matchups here or there. And if you have friends that have Big Blue or Yoga Flame or Shinko Hadoken, you could say, hey, you want to play this game? And it's generally easy to find on Discord or in the Facebook group for the Street Fighter Fighting Cabinet page. So, you know, that's pretty good. The other thing I like about this cabinet a lot is, see this right here? This is my Elgato. And up here, I can unplug it. This is my HDMI to my cabinet. You're going to ask myself, how did I get that HDMI to the Yoga Flame? Well, it has a micro USB that goes into the back of the Yoga Flame, and then it comes out with that mirror plug HDMI, and I plug it into Elgato, and that's how I stream the cabinet. And then you might have people say, well, you can't play with that way. It didn't work, you know, on Rev's show. Because I think Rev said that you couldn't, you know, when you did that method, he couldn't stream at the same time as playing because there was lag or something like that. Well, this PCB is more powerful. So it's a 2 gigahertz processor as opposed to a 1.3, I think was on Big Blue. It's a more powerful processor. It handles it a lot better. And the other nice thing is I don't have to swap cables. Like with the older PCBs, I had to plug in a micro USB to USB to the computer, wait 5 seconds, turn it on, turn it off. It was like trying to run like a hacked video game console. It reminded me of when I had the Sega Saturn and the Japanese RAM cart, and I had to swap this cart for that cart at the right time, otherwise I couldn't run X-Men Street Fighter. Well, this one, I just used the cable. But it's not that simple. You can't just buy the mirror plug and have it work. You actually have to use a method created by Rob2D, and once the software is installed and that process is set up, all I have to do is plug that cable in, and voila, I have HDMI. And I could run everything off the cabinet. I don't have to plug it into a Geekworm. I don't have to do anything like that. And so it is very convenient to me. Very, very convenient. And it helps make it my favorite cap. Now, I still have to play more Marvel Capcom 2 to see if I can make the same thing happen. But it's great, right? And also, Street Fighter 2 has grown on me. It's a really, I mean, I like the game. I like the game. If you start getting more into serious players in Marvel vs. Capcom, you start to learn that there's just all sorts of infinites and all sorts of crazy stuff. And the next thing you know, you can't even get out of it, and they're just annihilating you in a few seconds. It makes it less fun. So I honestly think Street Fighter 2 is a better game. Not that it's my favorite game ever, but I think it's a better game. Plus, I get the bonus of the awesome shooters and a few great beat-em-ups, Saturday Night Slam Masters, Puzzle Fighter. So it's a good collection. And Arcade1Up did it right. Now, The only thing I will say, you say, okay, what are the flaws besides the buttons? Because you already mentioned the buttons, and we all know all the buttons always suck, and you always got to replace them, right? Well, the other problem would be the bezel, which I mentioned in my review. In the bezel, and I hate to, it's not going to show it right, but maybe I could bring a picture of it up on the screen. And so what you'll see there is that in the lower left corner, there's no Dalsim. They took Dalsim out of the cabinet bezel. Why? Because they had to shrink the bezel down to get it to fit in their new midway design. And so when they did that, Dalsim just got cut out because it was a lazy graphic design job. They didn't redo it. They could have redone it, put Dalsim on it, but because who puts 11 fighters on the bezel? There's 12 fighters in Hyper Fighting and Champion Edition, and they did it correctly on Big Blue, but not on Hyper Fighting. That was dumb. It's just complete laziness and not caring. And who approved it, I don't know. Okay? So I have to be fair, and I do have to say that again. But it's still, even despite that flaw and the buttons, like, because they all have the bad buttons, I think it's the best 1-up of the year. I don't regret buying it other than the fact that I had a Big Blue. Because the PCB is definitely improvement, and I definitely enjoy this cab more. Now, I like the Big Blue with my Bobby Voo deck, and I'll probably put this PCB in that. Maybe even get rid of that cabinet. But if I didn't have Big Blue at all, or I had the Big Blue and I didn't have the Bobby Voo deck, the Yoga Flame's the best. It's definitely the best. If you don't have one, I'd buy a Yoga Flame or Shinku if you could still find one, because great cabinet, better PCB, runs great, absolutely love the cabinet, and it does what it promised. It said, we're going to have 14 games. They're all going to go online. It does that, and it does it well, right? And so I can't complain. Pretty good cabinet, good for the money. You can find it, anywhere between $375 and $500 normal price, and $375 would be the one without the riser, and I would not buy it without the riser because it's going to be too small. And I think I've seen a few sales this week that were just over $400, maybe $435, something like that. For Black Friday type, maybe it's still find one for Cyber Monday, but it's a good deal. It's my Arcade1Up cabinet of the year. You say, whoa, no, you're wrong. It's Dragon Slayer. Well, Dragon Slayer, I could tell, even though I don't have one, that looks-wise, it may be the best. It looks great. They did a bang-up job on the looks, right? But I don't play Dragon Slayer, right? I play fighting games. And there's a million ways to play Dragon Slayer. So just like there's a million ways to play Street Fighter. But I like the fighting games, okay? I just do. And so that's my cabinet of the year. It's my choice. And I think for most people, it would definitely be in their top 3 if they actually had one or they actually used it. Definitely a good buy. And I like I said, good review, good cabinet. Few things that would have needed corrected. If they just took 5 minutes and did a couple extra things, it could have been almost perfect, right? I mean, minus the doll rod assembly, because that's kind of meh. But anyway, love my Yoga Flame. Easy for me to use and do the things I want to do with streaming. And I 2022 cabinet of the year. Don't know what else to say. In the comments down below, please put what your cabinet of the year is, what you have purchased that you really enjoy and why. And please subscribe if you haven't, and please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and be ready for my upcoming Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo Tournament. Have a great night.